this year was really wild because like we were on trajectory to go on Australia's Got Talent, and that was like 2 days before they shut down all the airports, you know. So we didn't end up doing that, but we're rescheduled for whenever next time is. But so I spent a couple months not doing any magic at all. I just wanted to just get away from it. I was kind of, I was frustrated that things had got canceled, and I was reeling, and I pulled back, and I came up north where my folks are, and I stayed up north with them for a little while, or for most of the pandemic, actually. I was with my boyfriend and at the time. And so we both wear vintage clothing. We both wear 1920s and 30s stuff. And we just kind of, you know, stayed home, watched movies. I read comic books. We did a lot of clothing things. We tried doing video stuff, and we never had time to do the video stuff before. And even with doing magic, like I can edit things to some extent, but I never really like sat down and learned anything. So I got my camera out and we started filming things. Like we would ask each other questions, and people would always come up to my boyfriend and I, and they'd be like, "Oh, you guys dress so cool. Is there a reason? Like, why do you do what you do?" And people were really curious. And during the pandemic, you know, we looked like we're out of a different time, you know. And there's all these things that there's a lack of right now. Like there's a lack of entertainment. There's a lack of social contact. There's just lack of work, lack of just, it's hard to keep yourself busy with things that aren't indulgences, you know. But one of the things that you have to do when you go outside is you have to put on pants, you know. Like you can't just like go outside not wearing anything.
Yeah.
So it was kind
the
of
government might not require masks, but they require pants.
Yes. So it was kind of one of those things that like, well, we wear this stuff anyway, like this isn't anything different for us, but we had a little bit more time because what else are we doing with our time? So, you know, I would wear full face makeup, but you know, from here up sort of thing. And like we would kind of coordinate a little bit more. We just had more time. So we look great. I mean, we always did try to match anyway. Like it wasn't, I don't know. It's not really different from before the pandemic, but it was something interesting, and it was a reason for people to start communicating more with us. So we would always get approached no matter where we were. You know, what are you doing? Can I take a photo? Like that sort of thing, right? Grocery store, it doesn't matter where you are, like people want to take a photo. And I think it really, it sparked something with people. Like it's something that you have to do. It's not something avoidable. It's not something that they're going to tell you, you can't do that. You can't dress up. You can't make yourself feel good. And putting clothes on that you like, wearing a dress to a party because a party is a special thing, wearing something that makes you feel special. I mean, when else do you get to do it, right? When you go out? Well, it doesn't have to be just when you go out. You can make your own times to do this. And it does feel good. Even if you are just at home, it does feel good. You look at yourself, you're like, oh, wow. You know, maybe you don't have somewhere to go. And there is that pang of sadness or guilt or longing for something else. But I mean, you still have that, it's that roller coaster of emotions that you get. So you are going through some of it, right? You're not going through the full loop to loop of the roller coaster. It might just be a kiddie coaster, and you don't get much fun like you don't get the same amount of fun that you would from like an upside down drop, but it's something, you know.
In the lockdown, people are doing the opposite for themselves. Like people think it happens with entertainment too. People think that they want to be comfortable. They want to be, so they want to put on sweatpants and their oldest t-shirt and be comfortable. And the same thing happens in entertainment. We think we want to make the audience feel comfortable, but really what good entertainment is, and what like the fun of dressing up is, it gives you the same thing of like, it makes you a little uncomfortable and puts you in like a heightened state of experiencing something special.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you wearing these fashion things became contagious in a way, right?
Yeah, people are like, oh, my grandmother used to wear that, or now it's more my great grandmother used to wear that. But people really identify with it, and then they also identify it with TV shows that they watch. So they're like, oh, like Babylon Berlin, or Murdoch Mysteries, or Peaky Blinders or something, right? Like they know. It's really interesting because people are now watching more television. So they're not just like, oh, that's so 1970s or like 1960s. And sometimes we would get that, but we have not got that in like the last year and a half. People kind of know. They're like, oh, it's like the 1930s. And we're like, did someone tell you something? You know, but people are just like, they're more with it, and they appreciate fashion. And even in a small hick town, oh, I don't want to say that, even in a small town, people can appreciate fashion, you know, they really, and you immerse yourself in it. It's the same escapism that they had in the 1920s with the depression, and like then or sorry, the depression of the 1930s, where they were going to movies to get out of the depression that was going on, you know. So we're doing the exact same thing with Netflix. um
Change
and
for you from, how did it change for you from being an extra thing to being a main thing?
Oh, I've always, I wore uniforms in high school. And then when I got out of high school, I would, like, even in high school, I would wear like vintage mixed with modern stuff, just because like it was kind of weird to just wear the vintage things. But I was the only one who wore my kilt on, like, tucked in, like shirt tucked in. So it was high waisted. And this was when like the lower the drop of the waist, the better. So I was always kind of pushing the boundaries there with that stuff. But yeah, as soon as I got out of school, I was wearing 1920s and 30s, mostly 1930s stuff at that point, but 30s, 40s kind of, yeah. But okay, so
You
during
started
that,
making you started making these videos.
yeah,
What
um,
happened?
so we started making these videos, and then my camera just like blew a thing inside of it, and I couldn't make the videos anymore. So I had this really beautiful camera that I'd used for years. It was my little buddy, and just all of a sudden one day it stopped working on me. And while I was in the middle of doing this week-long video of, I was documenting every single day, and I needed to keep documenting it, otherwise it would lose the point of having a 7-day long time lapse of something, right? And so then I was just like, I don't want to do this. And I was so frustrated. So I gave up on it for a couple of weeks, and I didn't end up posting the video because I couldn't finish it. I was day like 6, and I'm like, great, like now what? My camera's busted. So um and then when we would play the videos back, we'd always find something that one of us didn't like about it. So he wouldn't like something, he'd be like, oh, I don't like how my shirt looked, or like I'd be like, oh, I don't like how my hair looked, whatever. Okay. So got kind of frustrated with it, gave up, and then I started doing TikTok. So just fun, just like, okay, I'm gonna post this little video. Oh, this looks like fun. I see someone else doing something like a transition from getting ready to being completely ready and done up. I saw that, and I'm like, I want to do that. So I did it, and I did like 4 videos, and then I think it was the 5th or the 6th one, it took off, and I had like hundreds of thousands of views on it, and I was like, I have no idea how I did this. And it was just it was a makeup tips video for 1930s makeup tips. And I was so honored that people were excited about it. And but it really took off after that. So I kept doing videos, and I just kept getting follows and views, and I have millions of views on videos. It's crazy. All this like vintage stuff, and I don't put out a lot of content. Like I really spend like 2 or 3 hours to make one like 15-second video, and it's brutal. And but we got noticed by my boyfriend and I got noticed by a news team and CHCH News in a city just south of Toronto called Hamilton. And that's like the biggest news channel for, I guess like Ontario, I guess. And it went out everywhere about how him and I wear 1920s and 30s clothes and how we're doing this thing. And like people are really fascinated by it. We were also picked up by the Daily Mail and Cosmo and what other ones? Like the biggest Spanish news outlet in the world. They were posting us, and we were getting like like I don't know how many like views or shares or whatever it is that we got, but I went from like, I don't know, maybe like 15,000 followers on Instagram. I now have somewhere around like 81 or 82,000. Yeah, just over the course since like, I think since August. So it's been like crazy, but people really love the vintage stuff, and I guess they like how I curate it and showcase it. But it's been a really it's been really fun because people, they want to see this stuff. They want to see people getting ready, and they want to see not just getting ready. I don't really show like process stuff. They want to see people doing it, and they want to feel the magic. And with movies and television, you only get to see like this, right? You don't get to see what else is going on. You don't see what's going on around me, like what's in my room, right? You just see that I'm here right now. But there's all this stuff that is around me. Like I have a couch here with my coat on it. I have a hat box here, and I have like all my books here. You don't see all that stuff. You're just seeing this, and people want to see what's real. And when you're taking a video of yourself, not necessarily something on a tripod with a ring light, when you're just taking a video of yourself, people like seeing that because that's real. And when you dress up and you're a performer, I'm a performer, and you're an entertainer. So it's like a double whammy. It's like a character, right? They're like, oh, it's like Snow White, right? I'm nothing like Snow White, but like it looks like a character to them. They find little connections that they can associate it with, that they recognize, and people like familiarity, and they miss this stuff. They see it on TV, but they're like, oh, people actually live like this. People actually, dress like this. So it's neat.
Them entertainment, and you're giving them connection to others, and you're giving them an opportunity to feel better about themselves by maybe trying to dress up once in a while.
Absolutely. It's
Nice.
encouraging to see other people do it.
What do you think you're going to do with all your followers now? What are you going to do for them or with them? Or
I just keep making videos. People love it. I've right before we were talking, I'm working on one right now, and I'm collaborating with someone else, and I've never done a collaboration before. So this is like my first time that I'm like, okay, I'm going to work with someone to do something. It's always just been me, or, someone behind the camera helping me a little bit, but for the last couple months, it's just been all me. And, I had to kind of go through the lockdown twice, like for the first time twice, because the first time it happened, I was with my boyfriend, and the second time that we had to lock down, he's been gone for a couple months. He had to go home to Germany. So like I did it all by myself again, and I had to stay all by myself up in the city in my little, 2-bedroom place. Like it's like a very small second bedroom. It's not really even a second bedroom. It's a 1-bedroom place. Technically it's a 2-bedroom. Whatever. Yeah, staying in that place all by myself, no one.
I just want anybody watching to know that it's technically a 2-bedroom, but it's a small second bedroom.
It is.
Okay,
It's a sunroom.
please do not sue her for.
I just don't want anyone to think like, oh, she has 2 bedrooms, she should be fine. Like it's the second bedroom is a joke.
If you had 3 bedrooms, that wouldn't make you fine. You're still locked down.
Here
it's hard.
in Toronto, they consider a den a foyer. Like if you were like just where you walk in and take your shoes off, that's a den.
Oh, wow.
So that's like, they're crazy here.
That's what I did when I had a tiny studio. I would say, this is my kitchen, and this is the living room, this is the dining room, this is the guest dining room.
This is the ensuite.
You just need some tape on the floor, and you can really divide things up. Okay, so
like
what do you
Dog
think?
Town.
What do you think is, if before you started all this, building your Instagram and everything, what do you think that Steffi would think about? What did you learn that was new that helped to serve you in making these videos that people like?
I mean, I was so scared of putting myself out there, and for people to like, for me to talk, and for people to hear my voice, and also to just share things that it's like, oh, people already probably know that. They'll just roll their eyes. How much information can you really put into, I'm doing 15-second videos or like a minute long videos, right? But like, how much do they really care? Do they even really want to know about this stuff? Like, but the thing is, they do, and they're watching, and they're hungry for more, you know, and people don't know as much as we think they know. You know, just because I know something doesn't mean everyone else knows it. And like, not that I assume everyone knows what I already know, but I don't know. I didn't think that my audience would span beyond people who are already into vintage, but it really does. Because look, period movies, right? You have movies, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Everyone loves that movie, and it's not set in modern times, right? People like throwbacks. That's why throwback TBT is so popular, right? um, people want to see things. I mean, I was just really nervous to go on video. I was always super confident with like, okay, I can take a photo because I can choose how I look. I can make sure that every hair is in place. You know, I was really like doing like dance moves and stuff before this. So I really just, I'm in the middle of my day. But yeah, so I mean, when I do these videos, I really like, I put a lot of time and effort into how I look so that I can look back at it after and be like, okay, not a single hair was out of place. But then when I do look back at it, I'm like, okay, that's out of place, that's out of place, that's out of place. I look bad there. But no one says anything about that, you know, like they don't care about that. They just care about what you're like, they just like you. They're, you know, like they're not nitpicking you, you know? And I guess what I would say to then Steffi before all of this, before yeah, what I would say to then Steffi before all of this would be that just don't be so self-conscious. Just do it. Put it out there, because as it's out there, it's gaining, right? If it's not out there, there's nothing to be gained, right? And you're only going to gain views. You're not going to lose views, right? So just it's worth the effort and it's worth the time, and don't be hard on yourself. Just put it out there even if it's not perfect. Do it to like be a bit of a stickler and be a bit of a perfectionist because it's your vision. But you know, don't let that don't lose yourself with perfectionism.
Yeah, like this is the entire thing that I talk to everybody about, all creators about, is generosity and thinking about other people instead of yourself. So you start out thinking about yourself and how to present yourself perfectly and avoid criticism and whatever. And then you end up with stage fright, or you end up with writer's block or whatever. And you feel like it's generous to come across perfectly to everybody, but really it's very selfish. And then when you right now you're like all through this talk, you've been talking about what other people want, what they're hungry for, what their experience is, because that's where your focus is now. And that's what's allowing you to start to generate more stuff. I think that's really awesome. And I'm pumped to see what you do next with your generosity and how much more you can reach out to people.
That's such a nice way to look at it. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Thanks for talking.
No, I feel like I owe you money. This felt like therapy.
I didn't do anything. So
That's your generosity talking. Just saying.
have a, have a great day. Thanks for spending the time.
Thanks, Scott.
I think people are
Likewise.
going to be really helped by this. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.